Are you looking for a headphone amp for your K701 or K702? Are you ready to actually find one? By the end of this video, you should have a clear idea of some great options to consider, as well as some of my personal recommendations. So grab a snack, sit back and relax, because I'm here to help. Audiophile, go! Greetings, comrades. Stuart Charles here, HomeStudioBasics.com, helping you make sound decisions leading to a beautiful audio experience that will make you fall in love with music all over again. So let's get right into the best headphone amps for the AKG K701 and K702. Now, why do I feel qualified to talk about this? Well, first of all, it's because I'm an audiophile and I have a certificate of authenticity to prove it. I also have first-hand experience with the K702 and because I've done an exhaustive amount of research over the last few years, dating back to around 2016 now. I will link all my sources and article below. You can check it out. As of now, I have around 18 sources, but you know, I'm probably missing some because I've done so much reading on this matter over the last few years, so
I can't believe it! Oscar learned to read!
I want this to be a discussion first and foremost, rather than me telling you buy this because I'm the smartest audiophile, because I fully realize that my recommendations on anything are in essence limited by my own experiences. There's simply no way I could even get to everything, even if I wanted to. So yeah, this video is meant to be a guide, not a definitive answer to the question, because as we all know, this hobby is very, very subjective. So first we'll talk a little bit about the headphones themselves. The K701 and K702 are some of the most misunderstood headphones in existence. I fully believe that, yes, they do need some sort of amplification, but no, they are not power hungry.
I'm so hungry. Feed me on K702.
At around 91 decibels per milliwatt sensitivity. Now, they are not very efficient, so they're going to need quite a bit of power from an amp to reach an acceptable listening level. But by the same token, the impedance is low-ish. It's not low, but it's around, what, 62 ohms. So they're not going to resist power too much, which is why you'll find that most amps and DACs do just fine with these headphones, including some really cheap budget options that we'll get into here in a bit. But generally speaking, you'll find that spec sheets rate them by the volt and not by milliwatts, so that's definitely confuses some people. They're not going to sound good out of a phone or anything like that. But I think the whole power hungry notion is just a little bit overblown, a little bit overdone, like your mom's meatloaf.
Hey Ma! Can we get some meatloaf?
So yeah, the Heed Can amp seemed to be the one that popped up most often in my research. It's a lot harder to find nowadays, but if you can get your hands on one, I would recommend that first as far as options that I've researched. So I'll just list them out. So yeah, the Bioelectric V200, the Creek OBH11, the Asus Zonar STX, the Quest Style Audio CMA 800R, the Benchmark DAC 1, the Musical Fidelity XCAN V3/V8, the Matrix M Stage, the Apex HeadPod, the Woo Audio WA6 SPL Phonitor, that's another popular one alongside the Bioelectric, the Schiit Valhalla, the Burson HA160, the Arlic Taurus, the Leben CS300XS, the Carry SLI80, the Lake People G103P, the Schiit Lyre, the Necco MOSFET V2, the Necco Portable V2, the JDS Labs Seamoy, which I have personally heard, but I have not paired it with the 702, the Titanium HD, the Trends Audio PA10, the Tascam UH700, the Mix Pre-D, Meridian Explorer, RSA Intruder, RSA Raptor, the Val E10 Vacuum Tube Amp, the Corda Classic, the Meyer Aria, the Dark Voice 337, and the Art 406. Yeah, so now we'll talk about some of my own personal experiences with the K702 and some different headphone amp DACs that I've listened to. So obviously you know what I'm about to say. The number one budget cheap desktop solution would be the FiO K3 or E10K. See, I had the E10K set on 5 or 6 out of 8 without the gain on. So as you can tell, these headphones are not that power hungry. Of course, with the gain on, you'll have some headroom, so that's good. With the K3, the K3 doesn't have as much power, obviously, but it's still got fairly loud enough. But I would, if I were to recommend something to start with the K702, I'd probably go with the E10K. So number 2 is a budget tube hybrid. The Bravo Ocean sounds really good with the K702. So yeah, I listened to a master file of John Coltrane's Love Supreme and through Tidal, and I started hearing subtle details that I hadn't heard before with the Bravo Ocean, the K702. Little voices in the background became more apparent and easily distinguishable from what was going on in the forefront. So I think that the Bravo is a great tube option. It's not entirely tubey or warm. It's sort of like it just gives a hint of warmth. It still mostly sounds like a solid state, to be honest with you, but it does sound really, really good with the K702 as well as something like a 4XX from Hi-Fi Man. So yeah, the second option you could go with is something like a JDS Labs Objective 2 or Atom. Now this is going to give you a clean, clear, crisp, neutral sound with its lowish output impedance. I think the Atom has a 0.5 if I remember correctly. The Objective 2 has around I think it might be the same, around 0.5. So yeah, you're going to get consistent levels across various impedance loads. So that's great for most headphones, something like an Atom or an Objective 2, because it's just very clean and just sounds good with most everything. So third up, IFI Zen and K5 Pro. I'm going to lump these two guys in the same category because they both sound very similar. The K5 Pro rates their output impedance around 1, and the Zen perhaps a little bit less than 1. So similar sounding, although the Zen is a tad crisper. I went back and forth. At first I thought the K5 Pro was, but then the more I listened, the more I found that the Zen is just a little bit cleaner sounding, whereas the K5 Pro is definitely warm-ish. It's not warm, it's just a little bit warmer than something like a Magni or an Objective 2 would be. Lastly, the Dragonfly Red, definitely a great pairing with the K702, and also if you want to upgrade amps down the road, you can pair it with anything that has a line in or RCA ins. So an Objective 2, an Atom, a Bravo Ocean, a FiO K5 Pro, pretty much everything we've talked about today. Also, if you wanted to, you could pair a Zen with a K5 Pro and use the K5 as the amp and the Zen as the DAC if you needed more power. Because the Zen is not underpowered, but for more demanding headphones, like really demanding headphones, I would probably not recommend a Zen. But it does well for the majority of cans up to 300 ohm or so. Like my HC600 sounds great out of it, but with the Dragonfly, I mean, you can pair it with pretty much anything down the road if you wanted to, because a lot of people like to have that volume, like to be able to turn volume knobs and flick switches and stuff, and the Dragonfly Red doesn't afford you that option, but makes a great DAC into another amp. So to wrap this up, I don't want you to get too carried away in trying to find the perfect pairing. There's simply too many amps out there for all that nonsense. If I had to recommend one to get you started, I would go with the Dragonfly Red and upgrade from there down the road if you need more power or if you just want to mix and match different amps. The important thing to remember is that all of the amps and DACs that I've tried sound great with the K702. There's not one amp in particular that just like sounds so much better or just blows me away. And I've talked about this ad nauseum. I'll put some links down below and up here about priorities in audio, like what you need to consider first, and so on and so forth. But also remember that the K702 does need some power, but it isn't all that hard to drive. Even the K3 will do the trick, and that amp does have less power than its older brother, the E10K. So I'll put my article down below. Definitely check it out, see what I listened to. I listened to a ton of albums. I listed a bunch of different albums and original soundtracks to video games, just a lot of different things, because just had a lot of fun with the K702. So yeah, that's about it for today, guys. I hope you enjoyed this review. Leave me some love down in the comments, and don't forget to subscribe. If you like what I do here and you want to support the channel in a more personal way, hit that Patreon link down below. And last but not least, don't forget to ask me about my grandchildren, yeah? Don't feed the troll, yeah? Yeah.
For all the fake rappers out there.
Yeah. Smokey Robinson, one time, old school man. Esoteric Eric,
Who's that?
check it.
Who is it?
It's Stu Black, here I am with the review once again. By this point you gotta know I'm deadly with the pen. You wanna battle me? Shit, I'll gladly take the win. You whip a caddy, but it's wrecked, I'm rolling fatties and I'm spent. Call me Lassie, I'm legit, I save the day, but I'm no fever pitch. I'm kinda sick, I spit retarded, I'm autistic and it fits. I'm like a kid on Christmas morning, it's a cinch. You overthinking it again, I'm dropping wisdom in a pinch. I know you listening to this, cause I be ripping it to bits. I get the gabbing among my I'm popping red pills and I'm rich. I'll make you quiver with my lips, I'll make you shiver with my stanzas. It's a hit like Sinatra in the mob. I come equipped a little bit like Tech 9. I keep it lit, a fire sign. I'm dangerous, out of control. I majored and I play to win. Do me a favor and just quit.